that men don't understand about making a date? Like, if you want to date a woman who has hobbies, who has interests, who goes to the gym, who has friends, who has a job, you have to pick a time and a place, like, well in advance. I just don't understand. I'm getting texts from men at like 2 p.m. being like, hey, free later, we should hang out. Or even though elevated, this isn't even about whether it's a coffee date or a hangout. They'll be like, hey, free later, we should grab a drink. And it's like, no. By 2 p.m., I already have plans for tonight. I probably already have plans for tomorrow and the next day. Maybe I've signed up for a gym class after work and I don't want to get charged a cancellation fee for canceling it in less than 12 hours. Or I've made a nail appointment and my nails need to get done. Or I've agreed to go to happy hour with coworkers after work.
Congratulations!
Okay, fine. So you have a life. Then why are you complaining? You filled your life with spin classes, nail appointments, and binge drinking with your coworkers. So why do you care whether or not these people are reaching out to you when you already have plans? There's a simple solution, and it's kind of funny how you don't see it. If you're busy when they say they aren't, then you can both schedule a mutually agreed upon time in the future to meet. Therefore, you can keep your plans while still being able to make new ones. But it sounds to me like you just want this dude to do that because you're too busy with your hobby of riding around on an exercise bike that doesn't go anywhere. But apparently that's just too complicated of a task for you, sister. So it sounds to me like you're butthurt over the fact that you have a life and you don't have time for men, but you're also butthurt that these very same men who make time for you aren't respecting this schedule that they have no idea even exists. So either way, at this point, you're just looking for excuses to complain.
Also, if you want me to show up to this date, like prepared and ready for the date, you want me to have time to go home, shower, do my hair, put on a nice outfit, right? It takes more than like 10 minutes, right? And I've scheduled out my day. And this isn't even commentary on the theory that you should never accept same-day dates. Like, if I was free, I would consider it. But as a woman with a job and friends and hobbies and interests who goes to the gym, by 2 p.m. I already have plans. By Wednesday, I already have my Thursday through Sunday figured out. Like, what about this do men not understand? Just pick a time and a place and give me like 3 to 4 days notice.
I don't know. Maybe this tree knows. Tree, excuse me, can you predict the future for me? No? Can I check back with you every 2 minutes for 16 days? Great, thanks.
Woman, men don't ask you to spend 8.5 hours getting ready for a drink. They're not making time for your outfits. They're making time to see you. I mean, sure, you shouldn't show up in pajamas like you really want to, but that doesn't mean that you need to literally set aside banking hours just to do your hair and makeup. That complaint is all on you, sister. Well, come to think of it, most of your complaints are. When you do this, all you're doing is telling men that your so-called hobbies and interests all revolve around work, the gym, or alcohol. And you're also telling this man that these activities are more important than him to the point where you're not willing to make any compromises for him. While he is expected to magically know what he's going to be doing 4 days in advance. We all know the truth, woman. You're not nearly as busy as you claim. Because if you were, you wouldn't be complaining about not being able to meet men on TikTok. You wouldn't have the time. And even if you did find the time, you should be celebrating how you successfully decentered men by having a full schedule. So it sounds to me like no matter what, you just want to be miserable.
You should have known my schedule. You should have checked for rescheduling.
Be delusional. Be secure within yourself. I think I'm the hottest person in every room I walk into. I think every man that looks at me falls in love. Are these things true? No, but I think them. I think I could go wherever I want. I think I could get whatever I want, you know, and you should too. I don't know if it's law of assumption or law of attraction, but I truly think my wildest dreams could come true. And honestly, some of them have.
The search for fact, not truth.
Lady, it's your delusion that has thrown you down the pit of pure madness. I mean, just listen to yourself. You think you're the most important person to ever walk this planet. And even though you openly admit that it's not true, you still deny that truth as if it doesn't exist. But here's the problem. You are confusing facts with truth. Now, it is a fact. You are only the hottest person in the room when you're at a tiny-ass comic book convention, and then again, even those are still rated by Only Freaks cosplayers. No, you deny the fact that you create your own truth, that you believe that you are the hottest and most interesting woman in the room. And you think this is working because some of your dreams came true, even though it does happen. In life, dreams do come true every once in a while. And you can't credit that to your psychotic way you live your life. Hell, I had a dream that I was enjoying a nice ribeye steak, and then I woke up and had a ribeye steak for breakfast. It's not nearly as rare as you think, sister.
And It's because I think I deserve it, and I think that everything will work out for me. And you need to have that mindset too. You need to stop thinking everything that happens is bad for you. You need to think that you are working towards your goal. You need to be so delusional, and it will come to you. If you think you deserve it and you think it's possible, it will happen. You need to change your mindset. You need to be secure, and you need to be delusional, because you deserve everything that comes to you that is good in life.
Deserves got nothing to do with it.
All right, what are you getting at, sweetheart? Because I think I deserve a pallet's worth of mini fridge boxes that are filled with solid gold bullion, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. What's your point? Yeah, I get it. You want money, you want validation, you want the nice things, and you want the hot boyfriend. But you don't deserve those things just because you exist. The world doesn't owe you a damn thing. Anything in life that you want, you actually have to go out there and earn it through hard work and maybe just a little bit of luck. But your delusion is counterintuitive to that idea. I mean, think about it. You're walking around thinking that your life is nothing but leprechaun dreams and unicorn farts, and you act in the most annoying and entitled way possible. That kind of attitude drives people away, prevents you from gainful employment, and will make your landlord think twice before allowing you to extend your lease. The rampant entitlement you're displaying will do nothing except make your life worse, and the only person who doesn't seem to see that is you.
You know that. Of course I do, sir. Everybody knows that. Of course we do, sir.
Women's standards today are completely unrealistic.
Do men not feel like embarrassed? Is this not like an emotion that they experience? Because how are you going to come on here looking like Squidward and saying that women's expectations are too high? Do men look in the mirror before they say stuff like this? Men thinking that they're the standard that women should meet is a joke. Women are far beyond evolved from men. And we're really just looking at you guys thinking, like, when do you grow up?
I really don't think that hurling insults and feigning a sense of moral superiority is a sign of maturity there, Toots. Men have been trying to make the point that modern women's standards are significantly too high because they've made you judgmental, entitled, and insufferable. Now, I have no idea what this guy was about to say because you cut him off to hurl a series of childish and uninspired insults at the poor guy just because he's trying to make an incredibly valid point. And then you have the gall to look at this guy and say that you're evolved more than us, even though you're the one who's acting like a child. Whenever a man tries to bring up the cultural shift that is the standards of the modern woman, he's partially trying to warn you about the pitfalls of these standards, but it's also part standing up for himself, and your immediate reaction is to throw a hissy fit and tell the man to shut up as you make vain attempts to denigrate his character. That's not evolution, sweetheart. That's just straight up bullying.
You know? Like, when is it that you find emotional intelligence and realize that you guys are the problem? Because women literally far exceed every standard that a man holds. Like, women aren't 99% of perpetrators of SA. Women aren't committing as many crimes as men are. Women are more educated than men are. Women are going to therapy more than men are. When do you guys, like, look in the mirror and think, yeah, maybe we're the problem? You know?
Dear God in heaven, gentlemen, what is it like to be so wrong?
Whoa, slow your roll there, lady. Your list just proves our point all the more. Unless you're going into very specific fields that actually do require a higher education, the majority of college majors are pretty much completely worthless. The fact that you're in therapy more than men denotes that you have significantly more personal problems and mental disorders than men. Now the whole crime statistic thing is complete and utter crap. You take a look at the percentages and then blame us for it all. Even though these crimes are made by a slim minority of the male population, you still blame the men who don't commit these crimes because apparently not being a monster in civilized society isn't good enough for you and your brood of hive-minded morons. So the only solution that you propose is to completely change the planet before you'll come up with yet another excuse as to why we're not good enough and why we're still at fault for literally every atrocity that's ever happened in history, while you're the better person because you wasted 80 grand on a useless piece of paper and thousands of dollars to complain to a person who couldn't care less about your problems. And yet somehow we are the ignorant ones.
Checkmate.
Get an ex back or grab someone's attention after they ghosted you. You can use this for a lot of other things too, and I'm not here to tell you what to use it for and what not to use it for. I'm just telling you it works 100% of the time as long as you do it right. Proceed with caution. Only use this if you actually want contact with the person you have in mind. This is called the call method. I've made videos on this before. You can go to those videos and check the comments. A ton of people say that it worked for them. What you want to do is get into a comfortable position, somewhere you won't be disturbed, and close your eyes and imagine the person's face that you want to get in contact with. Imagine them doing something besides paying attention to you. So they're looking at their phone, they're looking at something in a store, they're just not looking at you.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So I have a question for all of you manifestation experts out there. If you truly unlock the key to the universe and you have this direct communication with anybody, then why are you focusing that power on some dude who pumped and dumped you? You'd think with this power, you'd reach out to someone famous or a dude with a boat or something. Hell, I'm surprised that nobody has tried to infiltrate the mind of a cabinet member and try to challenge the current president to a knife fight. I mean, why not? You claim that you have this power to occupy the minds of other people. So why do you just limit it to the dudes that port you? I know if I had that power, I'd be doing something about income taxes or ramping up the production of obscure 90s TV shows on DVD. You know, something useful and worthwhile to society. But the last thing I would do is reach out to an ex. They're exes for a reason, and the last thing I would want is to have to talk to them again. But I guess you're so lonely, broken, and selfish that you don't know any better than to manifest bedroom fun with Tyrone.
And now you're going to call to them. You're going to say their name over and over in your head until you see them turn and look at you. You're going to envision a connection between right here on you and right there on them. And you're going to see that connection form. That's an energetic bond. Then you're going to hear them say in your mind everything you want them to say to you. You're going to pretend this is happening in real time, and you're going to feel all the feelings of relief or gratitude or love or happiness. Whatever it is that you would feel if they were to say those words, you're going to feel it. And then you can respond if you want to, but you don't have to. Open your eyes and keep those feelings of happiness and gratitude or whatever you felt as they were saying those words to you in your mind.
Mind control.
All right, slow down there, woman. Let's go ahead and think about this for a second, shall we? If you have to imagine these words being said from some guy that you want, and you have to manifest this in order to make it happen, then why doesn't he say those very same things to you in real life? Let's say that your mind control theory actually works and you're using this power to get this man to say the things that you always wanted to hear from him. Then why would you want to do that? You literally have to strip this man of his free will in order for him to say those things. You have taken away his consent to actually speak for himself, thus forcing him to say a whole bunch of claptrap just to please you. He doesn't mean those words. That would be like me paying some guy $20 to tell me that I'm the most righteous dude to ever walk the planet, but it wouldn't make it true. Now I'm out $20 and carrying around a bunch of empty words. It's the same situation for you, except now that you've lost your dignity while enhancing your insecurities. And regardless of what you say, that's not a good trade. Not in the slightest.
That's it. But this next part is important. You have to believe it's done. You can't go checking your Instagram views to see if they watched your story. You can't be stalking their Instagram to see if they're posting pictures with like somebody else. You have to believe that they're coming back to you and they are going to say these words in real time. As long as you assume that it is done, you will see results. You can do this more than once if you want to, but you don't have to. The longer you feel the relief and happiness of them saying these words to you, the faster you will see results in your real life. I always urge that people only use these methods for good. Follow for more manifestation tips.
You don't know what words mean, do you?
Okay, I'll admit that I might be a little slow, but I'm failing to see how this idea can only be used for quote-unquote good. Like, what does that even mean? Now, I suppose if you could hijack the mind of some international drug cartel leaders and convince them to stop flooding the streets of God's America with cheap fentanyl, then I guess that would be something that could resemble good, but you're literally talking about trying to force an ex to obsess over you to the point where he wants to talk to you. That's literally stripping that man of his free will just to make you feel good that some dude who walked away from you came back. That's selfish, i.e. the literal opposite of good. And I mean, that's all these manifestation tips really are. They're just a means of getting back with an ex, which is not only kind of dumb, but it's also short-sighted. You somehow unlock the mysteries of the universe and you utilize it to get porked by a guy who ghosted you. It's good to see you have your priorities in line there, sweetheart. Oh, and for the record, the military-industrial complex is still a thing. If you can control the universe and control the minds of the powerful, then you might want to get to work on that instead.
Hi, we have to take a moment for some shameless self-promotion.
I want to take a few moments to say thank you to the fine members of the Bounty Board over on Patreon for their continued support of this channel and the work that I do. Gentlemen and gents, I cannot thank you enough for your support, and this one's for you. All hail! And if you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the Bounty Board over on Patreon, where $5 a month gets you access to exclusive content you're not going to find on YouTube. And of course, you can always support the channel by liking this video, sharing, subscribing, and doing all of the things so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for your support, gentlemen and gents.
Whenever I'm talking about men participating in the home and doing domestic labor chores like cooking and cleaning and laundry, it is inevitable that a man will come on and say, well, what does he need a woman for? And I find it very telling that this is the only reason that men are seeking out partnerships with women is to offload and exploit them of their domestic labor. Men are looking at women to take things over for them so that they no longer have to do them. They're thinking, what can I do? What can I offload to a woman so that I no longer have to do it, so that I can deem her useful to me?
It is. That's the point.
Well, if there's one thing we can count on from old middle-aged Mabel here, it's that she can always point out her rampant hypocrisy and try to make it sound like it's a virtue, only to fail miserably in the process. Mabel, yes, when a man looks at a relationship, he's going to look at the woman and ask, how is she going to make my life easier? What is she going to take off of my shoulders? Just as much as you look at a man and ask, what can he do to make my life better? This usually comes in the form of income, a house, possibly a family, even though we all shudder at the fact that you have spawn. However, when you prattle on about quote-unquote domestic labor and how the man needs to step up and do more, you're not talking about equity. You're talking about him taking over everything. The man must do the cooking. He must do the cleaning, the maintenance, but also be the breadwinner and provide everything to you. And he must do this while also allowing you to make every single household decision while you provide an undercooked frozen dinner twice a month. So this man's question is perfectly valid. Why should he give up everything if he's getting nothing but a bitter middle-aged broad who's intentionally going to make his life significantly more difficult?
I don't have to do the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry then as long as I have a woman. That makes her useful to me. And it's interesting because I would bet those same men are the ones who are leaving their wives when they get a terminal illness diagnosis or a chronic disease diagnosis, because suddenly those women are no longer useful to them. They can no longer exploit that woman's labor.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
You gotta love it when broads like middle-aged Mabel try to prove a point by using a profoundly specific circumstance to try to completely disprove a man's argument. I mean, if we're going there with terminal illnesses, we have countless stories of women who are literally celebrated for leaving their terminally ill husbands because it was making their lives too hard. We also have countless stories of women who actively cheat on their military husbands while they're out on deployment, not to mention women who literally abuse their husbands because they're not the men that they want. But the reason why I don't mention them is because they don't do anything to prove the point, middle-aged Mabel. This man is saying, why should he get with a woman who's going to relentlessly disrespect him and straight up demand that he takes on more work than he's already doing when he can do all of the domestic tasks himself in peace? You're ignoring the argument because you don't have a leg to stand on, Mabel. That's why you're trying to emotionally manipulate the logical argument. It's the only card you have, and it's a pathetically weak one at that.
When I got married and when I was looking for a husband, I wasn't thinking to myself, you know what? I want to find a man that I can get to change my oil. that can mow my lawn, that can clean my gutters, that can do those traditionally masculine tasks for me.
Liar, liar, liar.
I wanted someone because I wanted companionship. I wanted love. I want someone to share my life with. I wanted mutual respect. And I think it's so telling that when I'm speaking about these things, when I'm speaking about men and the importance of men doing the domestic labor and participating in the domestic labor, that it is inevitable that a man will say, well, what do I need a woman for if I have to come home and do the cooking and participate in the cleaning and do my own laundry?
I must have missed 60 minutes. What are you saying?
Mabel, if you got married because you wanted love and companionship, then why are you so freaking miserable? Why do you feel the need to constantly go online and bash men and complain about your home life? Now, you're right. You most certainly did not marry a man to change your oil, mow the lawn, and clean the gutters. You also wanted the man to not only do that, but also the cooking, the cleaning, and the other household duties. And whenever you don't get your way on something, you feel the need to go online and endlessly bitch and moan. I mean, look at you, Mabel. I don't think I've ever seen you experience a single moment of joy in that pathetic excuse you call a TikTok career. You're straight up angry most of the time. When you're not straight up angry, you're depressed or just incredibly bitter. And you think the solution is just to micromanage your family, disrespect your husband, and completely fly off the handle when some random dude on a TikTok comment makes the incredibly valid argument about not wanting to get into a relationship with somebody who's going to treat him like a butler. Well, to be fair, he'd be treated worse than a butler because at least the butler is treated with respect and gets paid for the trouble.
What do I need a woman for? You don't need a woman. You don't need a woman. What you need is a maid or another mother. Men are not looking for women to be partners in life with. Men are looking for women that they can exploit labor from and deem useful for their needs so that they no longer have to do them.
What?
You need to clean the crap out of your ears, middle-aged Mabel, because you're doing the exact same thing. You're trying to exploit a man for literally everything. Not only does he have to be the chief income earner, but he also has to do your share of the labor and do it under your own dominion. Now, this man most certainly does not need a maid because he made it clear he can do everything himself. He's not going to sacrifice everything he has for a woman who openly admits that she's not willing to bring anything to the table. He wants a woman who's going to make his life easier, and there is nothing wrong with that. It sounds like you want your life to be the easiest, but even then, you'll still never be happy because you don't want a partner, you want a slave. You want a man who will bend to your will, not want bedroom fun, do everything you demand without sticking up for himself, and a guy you can endlessly disrespect for any reason, and he has no choice but to stay with you. And when a self-respecting man is given the choice between a life of peace where he can take care of himself or being with a woman who's practically a modern-day slaver, guess which one he's going to choose, Mabel? And that's going to do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and make sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.